Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this Dell Inspiron 15 7000 series. Let me see if I can get you the correct model. So the full model number is Dell Inspiron 15-7559. Okay, so this laptop is having a hinge issue. So I'm going to see, hopefully I can show you this. I did work on another one of these before, basically similar or same issue. So let's see if I can show you if this one is a little bit better condition than the other one. So first what you want to do is remove the screw here. This is so you can remove this bottom plate. Okay, once you remove the screw, you can use your fingernails or a pry tool to get underneath and then pop the clips out. All right, once you pop the clips out, you can pull it up just like this. All right. So I haven't opened this one specifically yet, so it is pretty dusty. I didn't clean anything out. There are 2 screws up here. You want to remove those as well. Try and keep the screws in order. You don't want to get them all mixed up because they can be different sizes and different lengths. Okay. All right, so we're going to have to take out all these components. So first thing you want to do is disconnect the battery. The battery cable is here. Let me zoom in for you so you can see what's going on. Okay, so you got the battery connector here. Okay, first thing you want to do is get this cable unlooped from these little extended things. Once you get that out, you can get to the cable on this side. Okay, so I just grab the connector as close as I can. I grab the cables as close as I can to the connector since I can't reach the connector itself, and then kind of just wiggle it like this to pull it out. Right, that's how you get rid of the battery connector. Then we're going to take the battery out. I believe this is a T8. Let me check to be sure. Might be a larger one, but let's see, T8. Okay, it is a T8 screws. So we're going to remove all T8 screws. Let's zoom out a little bit here so you can see. I have to be careful because I'm going to end up knocking the screws out if I'm not. All right, so let's put these screws here. Okay, so we got the battery screws. These are T8 screws again. So you want to remove the 3 at the top of the battery. Okay. I need a bit more desk space. I have too much junk here. All right, so remove the 3 screws there. Okay, then towards the bottom, there's 2 screws. You want to remove those 2 screws. Just like that. Oops. All right, and then once you remove all those screws, I think that's all of them, you can grab this plastic tab here, and you can use that to pull the battery up and out. Okay, just pull it straight up like that, and then you can pull the battery out. So when you put this back, you do have to put this bottom side in because it has these little tabs that stick out. Excuse me. And the battery, oh, what is that? I don't know where that stuff on my hand came from. But the battery is a 357F9. So if you need to replace the battery, that's what you need to get. All right. So I'm going to set that aside. I don't know where this stuff on my finger came from. Let me try and clean it off. Okay. Somehow I got like thermal paste or something on my hand. All right. So we got all of that. Now we're going to have to remove everything else. Once you remove the battery, what you do want to do is hold down the power button. So this one has the broken hinge here on this side, so I kind of have to be careful opening up the computer. So I'm going to open it by holding down the hinges. I don't know if you want to see how I'm opening this. So basically I'm holding down the hinges and I'm dragging the screen on the desk to open it up, okay? And then I'm going to hold the power button down for about 15 seconds. All right, so I'm just holding the power button down here with my hand. All right, so we'll hold the power button down just to drain any power. Okay, after that, you can close the laptop back up. Set it back down. Okay, now we are going to remove all these other components. So we're going to remove the SSD, that's right here. This SSD is a, does it show here? SanDisk M.2. I believe this is actually a SATA. It doesn't give the exact thing on here, but it does say SATA 6 Gbps, so I don't think this is a PCIe NVMe. I don't know if it supports PCIe NVMe, because the other one I worked on also used a SATA M.2 SSD. So keep that in mind. If you want to check if it supports M.2 PCIe NVMe, you'll have to Google that because I have too many things to work on. So hopefully you can look it up and then point it out if you find out it does support the PCIe NVMe SSDs. But there we go. We're going to take that out. All right, so now we're going to remove the hard drive as well. Let me see if I can show you this. All right, so the hard drive has some screws as well. These are all using PH1 screws, except for the battery. It used T8. So there's 4 screws holding in the hard drive, sorry. Okay, so we're going to remove all 4 of these screws. Just like this. Come on, there we go. All right, so now that we got all 4 of those screws out, we're going to try and lift this up. You can actually lift the connector out first. So the connector is right here. There's this black tab. You just grab that plastic tab and pull it up. All right, so I guess you can use this. Usually I don't want to use the cable and stuff to lift it up because you can damage the cables that way. So I try and lift it up by something more solid like the hard drive bracket over here, okay? And then just lift this out just like that. So this is a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. You can upgrade this to an SSD if you want as well. So if you wanted to make your spinning drive, if you wanted to make this a SSD as well, you can do that. Okay, let's see what else we got to remove. There's a few more screws in here, I think. Do we need to remove any screws? So this screw right here is already coming out, so just be careful. If your hinge is broken, you're likely going to have a loose screw in here. Okay, there's another screw. Let me zoom out. Okay, so there's another screw right here. We're going to remove that as well. Okay, I think these are just holding in the hinges. Let me see if there's any other screws here. I don't actually see any other screws here, so that's good. Okay, so now we're going to remove the cables. So this is the LCD or LVDS connector, I believe. So to remove that, you just grab this plastic pull tab and just yank it up. Okay, just like that. Well, you don't want to yank it. You just want to apply constant pressure force to pull it out. Okay, and then just guide these wires out. We are going to have to take them out later. Okay, be careful not to bend the cables too much. You don't want to damage them. All right, so we'll move that over. And then we got this connector here. I'm not sure what this connector is for. We'll find out when I fully remove it from the computer. So let me see if I can zoom in and show you. It's probably too zoomed in. Okay, so we got this connector here. We're gonna unroute it from these things that are holding it in place. Okay, just like this. It's a little bit difficult to unroute them. But don't bend the cables too much. You don't want to damage them. Okay, just like this. All right, so again, if you can reach the plastic, you can try and pry it up from there. But if you can't, just grab the cable as close to the connector as you can and kind of just wiggle it as you kind of pull. Just like this. Okay, this one is a little tough. Sorry, my hand's in the way, I know. But you basically just grab it and wiggle it like this. So. And this cable's really tough to remove. Can I do it? I might have to use, let me see if I can use a flat tool and do it. So if you have a tool like this, you might be able to pry it up. No, that's even harder. I'm going to use my hand and just wiggle this cable. Okay, just grab it, keep wiggling it like this, and there we go. It came out. All right. There we go. I think this is the charge port DC jack connector. It looks like it, yeah. So this is a really long charge port connector. Usually the charge port connector is like short, so that's kind of interesting. All right, so just unroute it from here to get it out from the slot, because we're gonna have to take this out later. All right, then same thing with the wireless antennas. You want to remove those as well. So just unroute it. Let's see here. How does it go in there? Okay. So unroute the wireless antennas as well. Oh, we might have to take this out first. So the black connector goes towards the bottom, the white connector towards the top. It has little arrows that show you. The black arrow is the black connector and the white arrow is the white connector. Okay, so let's see. There's some slack here, so I'm going to lift the antenna starting here. All right, that works. And then you always want to lift the antennas from the tail, not from the front of this connector, okay? So always from the tail, just lift it and pull it up. Okay, same thing with the black connector. All right, just like this. Route it through. Then from the tail, grab it and pull it up. Just like that. Okay, now we can unroute the whole wireless antenna cables. Just go follow the little clips and get them out. Okay, there we go. This is pretty dusty. I am going to have to clean this up later. All right, I'll clean it up better once I get everything out. So it looks like all the screws have been removed. So once you do that, let's zoom back out so you can see. We're going to have to open the screen again, or let's actually remove the wireless card. So there's one screw holding it down. Okay, remove that screw. The wireless card pops up slightly, and then you can just pull it out. Okay. All right, set that aside. Okay, so now we're going to remove the keyboard. Oh, and if you want to see the type of RAM, you can already see it from here, but it's PC3 12800S. So if you wanted to replace the RAM and upgrade, this already has 16 gigs of RAM. That's more than enough for almost everybody. So there's really no point to upgrade it further. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to open up the screen again because the hinge is broken. Also because these hinge screws that are here are missing. You want to hold the top over here like this on both sides. And then I use the table to kind of pull the screen open. So I have the screen like that while I'm pulling the bottom cover open. Okay. So now that we got that open, be careful because the cables on the bottom are exposed. You don't want to end up ripping them out or anything. So be careful while moving the computer around. Okay, so for removing this, let me zoom in so you can see. But the top of the keyboards here have these little pop tabs here. It's going to be hard to show it all, but let's see. So you got there's one all the way over here, another one here, another one here, one over the F5 button, and then one over the escape key. So there's two more here. Okay, so to get that out, you want a thin pry tool like this, something like this. It doesn't have to be this exactly, but anything that's thin. You don't want it to be sharp or anything. This isn't a knife, so you don't want to cut anything below, but you basically just get the tool in. Okay, let's see if I can get it. So these things are semi-spring loaded, so you have to kind of go in front of the thing and then pry it out. Okay, so let me see if I can get it. Come on. Why is it being difficult? Let me see here. Okay, this might not be spring-loaded, is it? Oh, I think they spilled something, so it's kind of stuck in there. Okay, so let me help this out a little bit. Okay, so you get like that. You get the thin tool in there, just like this. And then you work the tool in front of the little part that's sticking out and then pull it there. So when you get it there, pull it forward to get the tool to go. Oops, sorry, I don't think you can see that. Let me demonstrate on this one again. So these aren't actually spring loaded, they're just clips that stick out. So what you do is you want the tool to go in at an angle this way, and then you pull the keyboard back out from it. So like this, go in underneath, okay, like this. Oh, why is it not going right now? There we go. So first you have to start out with the tool going towards the keyboard, and then you pry it so it goes underneath the tab that sticks out, and then it pulls the thing out. Okay, so we'll go on these two and do the same thing. Towards the keyboard, underneath, and then up. Okay, same thing with this one. Towards the keyboard, all right, underneath the tab, and then underneath the keyboard. All right, so here you go. Now the keyboard is coming up. You can kind of pull it up with your hands. I didn't do one of the tabs on this side, so I need to move the computer back to show you that. Okay, so this side towards the keyboard, away from the keyboard, all right, like that, and then back under. There you go. All right, so now we can pull the keyboard out. Let me zoom out so you can see. Okay, so now you can get your hand underneath the keyboard. What you need to do is flex the middle up and then push the sides down with your palms. That will make it so it pulls the sides in to release the clips on the side. Okay, just like that. And then once you get the sides out, the bottom will be latched in, so you have to slide it forward like this. Okay, and then lift the keyboard up so you can see the cables underneath. And then to remove these, let me see if I can zoom in. So here there's a little plastic latch. Oh, you can't see it because that's in the way. So here's the plastic latch. You just flip it up with your fingernail or pry tool, and then you can pull that out. Same thing with the keyboard connector here. Flip this up just like that, and then you can lift this connector and pull it back. Okay, and there you go. That's how we got the keyboard out. Okay, let me zoom back out. Okay, so I don't know if this video is going to be kind of hard to follow with all this zooming in, zooming out. So you got the fan connectors here. I'm going to leave those in place. These, I like to pull them up just in case they're connected to anything. So this one, I think, well, we'll see when I'm done. I'm pretty sure that's the trackpad cable. This says LED, so we'll pop that up. And I think this is the power button, so we'll definitely pop that one up. Okay. So we'll leave those, and then we need to undo all the connectors. There's other cables here for boards underneath. You can leave those for now. But we are going to undo the screws. So there's one screw here and one screw over here. So we want to remove those two screws. Okay, so the main goal of this is to fix the hinge. So if there's not much else inside, I'm not going to take the computer apart further. So let's see what's going on under here. Okay, so I'm going to lift the computer up, and then let's see. So under here, I'm going to try and get my fingernails in this gap. Let me zoom out some here. All right, so I'm going to get my fingernails in here and then try and pop this cover off. Let's see here if I can show you this. Oh, the hinge here is kind of popping out. All right, so I think what I had to do last time is pry it from the opposite direction. So let's turn it around. Okay, so going towards the palm rest, you want to use your thumb to push on that, and then use your fingernails to pull down on this. Okay, let's see if we can pop it out that way. It's semi coming out. But you don't want to push on the trackpad, so be careful with the trackpad. You don't want to push that through the computer. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky because the hinge is falling apart, but let's see what I can do. Come on. Wow, these clips are strong. How did I do it last time? That's kind of, there we go. I don't know why it's being difficult right now. So just pull it like this. Okay, so it is helping sliding my thumb along as well. All right, let's see here. If you want, you can use stronger pry tools. Let's go to this side. Oops, I just snapped it back in place. Okay, go along. Try and pop these clips out. There we go. Now the clips are all coming out. Okay, so these clips are a little bit difficult to get out, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, the clips are on the side of this palm rest, and they are clipping up into this piece. Okay. So let's see here. The side clips don't want to come out. I don't think there's any more screws in here, right? Nope. Okay, so we do kind of have to just work the thing. Okay, I'm going down this side now. Kind of have to use a bit of force to get these out. They hold on pretty strong, these clips. Okay. Oh, man, those clips are really strong. There we go. Okay. Oh, the side of the case is actually breaking too. So most of the case is out. This one side is still holding on to something. Oops, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. So sometimes these clips are a little difficult. You kind of have to just work them. All right, we got most of that out. Let's flip it over this way. All right, let's open the hinge up a bit more. Oh, so this hinge is the broken one. It's prying out the whole case. And then let's try going along the back here. Nope. Wow, these clips are really holding on. Okay. Let's turn it sideways. I don't think you'll be able to see much this way. There we go. Wow, these clips are really strong. I might have to use a metal tool and just force it out. So let's see what we can do. There's no screws here. Interesting. They're holding much stronger than I remember. Okay, let's try with the metal tool then. I'm gonna end up hitting my phone now, my camera. So let's put this back down here. Let's try and pry this out with this since I can't do it by hand. I don't like using metal tools. I feel like I'm gonna damage something. Okay, so it is popping up. There we go. The plastic layer is actually separating. It shouldn't do that. So this plastic layer, it shouldn't separate from the black plastic and metal layer. But it is. Okay. Let's get the tool in. Wow, this cover's really hard to remove. Keep that in mind if you're going to open the bottom, which hopefully no one needs to do because most people, they're just going to be upgrading the RAM and the SSDs. So there we go. We just have to use more force. Okay. So we got most of that side out. Okay, we do need to disconnect this connector. So this is the trackpad cable because it's part of that, of course. The power button cable also needs to come out. The LED cable, you can leave that in, so I'm going to put that latch back down. Okay, and then, now that we got all of these out, let's try and force these clips back here up. Okay, these clips are tough. Usually what you'll want to do is have the screen closed slightly. Let me do that. And then you want to unclip it from back here. So let's see if I can do that. Wow, these clips are really strong. Okay, and then you want to unclip on the back part here, not the underneath the speaker grill. Okay, just like that. There we go. Now it's actually coming out. Only this part where the vent is where there's clips for the speaker grill, so keep that in mind. You don't want to pry behind this piece. Okay, so now that we got all of those out, oh, there we go, it's coming up. Let's reopen the hinge again. Okay, so this cable's, all right, there we go. So now we got this panel off. That was a lot more difficult than I remember. All right, so I worked on one of these before. It had a similar issue. The hinge also broke. Okay, and make sure this cable is coming through from the other side. Let's see here. Let's move that back in. Okay, make sure the wireless antennas, they are popping out. Make sure you keep them in place. So the main thing we're doing is fixing the hinge here on the left side. Okay, so what you want to do, I have to open the hinge more, so I'm going to hold it down with my screwdriver while I open it up. Or actually my hand, I guess. Okay, so you kind of want to hold both hinges down when you open up the screen. So I'm pushing the screen with my face, but there you go. Okay, so we need to fix that hinge, and then we also need to remove this fan to get it out of the way. So to get that out of the way, you want to get these cables out. Okay, so we're going to remove the fan so we have room to work with this. Let's see, so let's disconnect the fan connector, just wiggle it like that. And then I'm going to rotate the fan to get these cables out so I don't have to unplug them all. There we go, so we got this fan out. I'm going to dust that out later. This fan we can also remove. Okay, just like this. All right, I'm going to clean both those out as well as all the dust on the fans because the radiators have like big balls of lint. Okay. Alright, so the main thing is this hinge here I'm going to have to repair. Hopefully this other hinge is okay. Let's see here. It might just be loose screws here. Oh, sorry, I'm going off camera because stuff is getting in the way. So here we go. Tighten up the screws. Yeah, I think this side is okay. I just have to tighten up the screws. So I like to add red Loctite because the blue stuff isn't that good. So it always ends up coming out. So I'm going to do that now. Take out the screw. And then I'll get some of this red Loctite, thread locker stuff. Loctite is the brand, but thread locker is what you need. You want the red one. All right. Okay, let's see, I put too much. Let's try and sink some back in. There we go. All right, so the reason these hinges usually break, the hinge mounts, is the screws come loose. And when the screws come loose, it actually will allow for some wiggle room, and then when it has that wiggle room, when the hinge mechanism moves, so let's say like if the hinge is holding properly, it moves like this, but when it's loose, it's like this, and then when you move the hinge, it pries out the thing like this. So actually when you open it, it pries and it breaks the plastic mount, and that's usually what causes the problem. So the best thing you can do once you fix these is to add this red thread locker stuff and then tighten the screws really tight. The problem with the other side, I'm probably going to actually have to pull the whole screen assembly out, so I probably shouldn't be gluing this, but we'll see. Usually I don't show the repair process of this because it varies a lot from computer to computer. So if I show this and people try and follow, they're going to screw up their computers. So it depends how your thing broke, but essentially what I'm going to do is these pieces broke. So what I'm going to, let me move the thing out so you can see. So let me see if I can close the hinge. So here you can see, let's see if I'll zoom in and you can show you a better, clearer picture. So the plastic piece on the hinge here is broken. So here it came out, and then this one, it has the brass piece that holds into there, but it broke off as well. So basically what I have to do is fill this area with a thread locker, or not thread, sorry, with JB weld, and that will hold this hinge mechanism in place. So I replace the stuff that's in there, and usually, okay, so this part, these parts on this palm rest that hold the screws are okay. So technically it will hold itself together pretty well. In this case, I might not even add, usually I'll put thread locker to replace the screws, but in this case I can probably, I'll hold this brass piece down with pliers, and then I'll tighten the screw completely, And then I'll just put some JB Weld in these places so it holds it better. And that should hopefully hold this hinge in place. But that's pretty much all there is to this video. Maybe I'll show that. Let me clean this up and I'll be back. And then I'll show the process that I used to fix this one. But it does vary depending how it broke. So if yours broke differently, just keep that in mind. Don't follow this video because you're going to make it so that you can never take your hinges out or fix these cables and stuff again if you do it wrong. All right, so I'll be back. I'm going to clean out all the dust. All right, so I cleaned up the hinge and everything, so here. And then what I did was I used the pliers to hold the brass part underneath, and I added the red thread locker stuff to both these screws. Okay, and then I tightened the screws in. So now I'm going to show you what we need to do to hold the screws back in place since the mounts broke off. And then the other thing, make sure that the antenna cables route around properly. You don't want to have them all going all over the place. So this is one of the things that's going to make it a little bit risky, because when you put the epoxy for this, if you do it wrong, you might end up gluing down this cable. And one thing I do to help with that is I get some kind of tape. Okay. So wherever you're planning to glue down the hinge mount or anything like that, I will get some tape, and then I will put some tape there so that way if it does get stuck to it, it's actually just sticking to the tape, and you can always remove the tape later. Okay, so let's try and get the tape here. There's not much work room on this model, so it's a little bit tricky, but you can get the tape in just like that. Okay, you might have to use a screwdriver or something to help move it around. Okay, and then just wrap it over. So this I'm going to use to protect the cable. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to put the glue. Hold on, I'll be back. I need to use something real quick to fix the other part of the computer. All right, so I'm back. So what I was doing was this part, like I mentioned earlier, the gray part was separating from the rest of it. So what I did was I remelted some plastic here, so you can see the yellow stuff. So I just took a 3D printer pen that gets really hot, and then I melted the plastic back so it holds again. Okay, so alright, so back onto repairing the hinge. So I used JB Weld for this, so this stuff. If you guys need a link for that, I will post one. Alright. So let's see, I'm gonna need some stuff to mix it up. Hold on, I will be back. Alright, so how much JB Weld you use greatly depends on what happened with your computer, how it broke, how the hinge broke and everything. But basically I just take a random scrap piece of plastic and a toothpick to get how much I need. So this one, it didn't break too bad, so we don't actually need too much. So I'm going to try not to put too crazy amount. That's my 3D printer pen. I haven't been using it, so it turned itself off. But anyways, I just use the toothpick like this, and then squeeze out some, approximately how much I need. That's probably more than enough. And then I will just roll it onto the plastic piece. Sorry, it's probably going off camera so you can't see. Let me zoom out a bit more. Alright. So I just got that glob. That's most likely more than enough. Alright. Then I'll get this. Same thing. Squeeze out some. You want to get equal amount, so about that should be about right. Okay. Alright. Put that back. And you don't want to mix the two, so I'm actually using different ends for this. So I used one side for the black and then the other side for the white one. Alright. Okay, and then after that, you just want to mix the two together. Okay. I'm using a junk screwdriver because I kept breaking toothpicks trying to use them to smear it on. Okay, so just stir it up like this. Mix it all together. Make sure it's mixed really well. Just like that. Okay, squeegee it all towards the center. Be careful you don't drop this on the electronics inside the computer. So that's another thing with JB Weld. It kind of conducts electricity since there's like metal inside of it, and so you don't want to get it on the electronic components. So this is one of the reasons why I usually don't recommend other people do this. You have to be very careful and you have to know what you're doing. If you do this wrong, you could destroy your computer. Okay, so what we're gonna do, let me zoom in again. Alright, so on this hinge, let's see if I can get a better close-up. So I'm going to lift the hinge back up. Okay, and what I'm going to do is fill the little place where the screw mount should be, right here. Okay, just like that. Alright. And then it also helps to put the JB Weld on the screw mount, whatever this brass thing is called. So it works well to put that all around there as well. So it makes sure it gets a good contact with the adhesive. Okay. The metal part of the hinge, it's very smooth, so usually the epoxy won't really stick to it very well. So if you get it on there, don't worry, you can usually force the two parts separate, okay? So you don't have to worry about it sticking too strong to there. Okay, so we'll just add some more JB Weld to this, so when we put that down, it makes sure to fill up. Okay, make sure to clean off the excess from places you don't want it. So I want it to go on the side here. It's getting a little bit on there. Okay, you don't want to accidentally glue pieces together, because if you glued that together, you'll never get it back apart. Whoops, let's see here. Hopefully you guys can see. It's a little bit difficult to clean that up once it's in there because you end up getting the glue that's already on there. Okay, so there we go. Clean that up. Alright, and then we got to apply some to this side as well. So just add the stuff in there. The plastic is cracked, so I am going to add some to this to try and keep it together so it doesn't break, and then wrap the JB Weld around it. Okay. Just like that. Add the JB Weld all around. Make sure it gets a strong fit. Okay. Alright, so now the rest we want to put into the broken area down here. Okay, so this is where the piece actually broke off. There we go. Alright, and now I'm just going to add the blob to the bottom of this. So that way when you close it, that